Welcome, guys, to the first episode of Short-Side Wristers, an NHL The Video Game podcast. What I'll be doing is covering everything from tips and tricks, esports news, my hot takes on the game and the NHL in general, and everything in between. But let's start with an intro of who I am. I'm a content creator for NHL The Video Game. I began exactly 2 years ago creating content, and now I'm a partner to EA Game Changer. I love my Sharks, hate the Ducks, and I've been into hockey and the video game since as long as I can remember. John Van Beesbroek was on the cover of the first game I played, so let's just get that out of the way. Today's topics and things I'm going to discuss are the state of the game. Let's start 2019 on a bad note. Esports and Hockey Ultimate Team and the state of it and things that I would like to see and things that have gone well so far. So let's get right into it, guys. All right, so let's start with the state of the game. It's been a little bit interesting for me this season because I've actually gotten to see behind the scenes what happens with being a game changer. It's been interesting to see the ebbs and flows of things that go well, things that go bad, and how they're dealt with. So currently, let's just discuss what happened so far. The beta was great. It inspired a ton of hope in the community of NHL. It was something that I was ecstatic to see. I'm not going to lie. When I started in January making content in 2017, I had a great first year with NHL 17, and that was at the back end of it. I didn't even make content for the launch. And 2018 was a much more down year, viewership across the board. So it was great for me to see that in the beta, everyone that was an NHL fan looked to be having fun. It was exciting. It was fresh. It just seemed faster. I'm almost going to say more arcade-like, which I'm going to talk about in a little bit. And after the game came out, there were a few changes and things that needed to be reversed there. The L2 speed burst, for example, but adjusting that on the tech side of things, adjusted the skating, it seems, even though skating wasn't touched. Yes, 100% from the developers, skating was not touched at all. And the only real change so far has been the L2 speed burst and movement with the L2. But after the beta and seeing how people used it, it was a lot more fresh and fun, in my opinion, and everyone else's opinion, to be honest with you, because of the outcry that skating just was much better in the beta. So it is going back to the beta in the middle of January to test things. My take on that: 1, it sucks that it took so long. 2, it's great to see that they are trying something middle of the year. You have to understand that EA Sports makes yearly games. So by December and January, they have to move almost all of their workforce onto NHL 20 to actually provide a good new, update version of the game. So as from a business standpoint, I totally understand it. The fact that everyone wanted what was in the beta and it went a few months and it was just like, we want what was the very base of the game. It was crazy to me because, again, this is going to sound odd because everyone's like, oh, Game Changers just slurp EA and things like that, and I'm actually going to give, kind of a hard take on it, but like I said, it's my own opinion here. So the fact that they had to go back to the beta is alarming, but like I said, it is good thing for the game because they actually listen to the community enough where they want to make a drastic enough change to see if they can pinpoint the problems to make sure that going into the rest of 19 as well as NHL 20 that it's great from the start on. So I'm totally for it. Everyone that's like, oh, you're going back to the beta, so great, stick lifts are back, bumps are back. Guys, you got to understand, it's only going to be a week or two maybe, and it's going to significantly improve the game. That being said, I loved the beta. It fit my playstyle very well, even including the bumps. I missed the bumps, and it's going to be interesting to see how it goes. Now, the timing is unfortunate, but let me discuss that real quick because of the esports events, which I'm going to discuss later in the episode. But there was going to be no good time to do this. If they wait, more and more teams are going to announce esports events. I don't have any confirmed news of that, but it's just Gary Bettman wanted more teams involved, and so far there's been 5 in the last 2 weeks that have announced tournaments. So it's only logical to think that that's going to happen. Not to mention if there is another NHL World Gaming Championships, imagine if they do that during the qualifiers. There just isn't a good time. So having it happen now for 2 weeks, deal with it. Let's talk about the struggles on the Sony side. Again, seeing the back end of things, the technology or the tuner and things with Sony seem to have been a giant issue. I'm a big Sixes player, not very good at it, but I loved sixes on League Gaming specifically, and it was my first kind of foray into it, starting in the very late NHL 17. I did the summer season of League Gaming, and then I did all 3 in NHL 18. And sixes in 18 was, for the most part at least, fun. I was able to get into a game. My urge to play in NHL 19, and I was an owner in the NHL of League Gaming, has never been at its lowest as it was this year. The fact that you couldn't consistently get into games was just so frustrating to me. And not to mention, it kind of killed the player base. There just is not. It blows my mind that there are so few people searching at any time in the day. I know it's sixes, so you have to have 6 guys on, but it blows my mind that there just isn't a lot. Now, when you look on Xbox, there was very few errors, and it's a lot more vibrant as far as the amount of teams playing, which is good for Xbox, but the PlayStation side it was a very big letdown from the start of 19, and now with IP booting being as high as it was is a problem, and now the new pause glitch that's happening. I've just installed NHL 19 on my Xbox, and if you guys have watched my Twitch stream or my YouTube videos, they're all done on a PlayStation. I have one of the best PlayStation HUT teams in the game, and I'm now playing for the foreseeable future on Xbox, which will be different and fun for me because I get to do A, get to play other players that I don't normally play against, B, I get to start my free-to-play team on Hockey Ultimate Team, which I'm really excited to do because after spending money and getting packs on those things, it's a fun change for me to try something new. Other than that, let's talk about the good in NHL 19 so far, the state of the game. The skating is much better than 18, even with the problems and things that people complained about. If you played in a game of NHL 18, it is slow, sluggish, and lame. It is very fun still when compared to NHL 18, and I think that it will improve. The development team again is constantly asking for our thoughts and opinions, and I want to get this out of the way as well. So some things. Let's get some insider info from my Game Changer and what happens in the Game Changer chat. Okay. I want to give some credit to some of the people that I've seen that I didn't necessarily know because again they're maybe not vocal on social media, they don't have a giant YouTube presence, and it's not really known. I want to give some credit where credit is due. First, I'm going to get this one out of the way. Sod, even though he is one of the best streamers and one of the biggest names in NHL, he blasts the developers with his takes and community's takes for Hockey Ultimate Team. He is legit the champion of fixing HUT and making it better. Some of the changes that I've seen that he, again, I'm newer in the Game Changer program. He isn't, and his voice is obviously carries more weight. But there is so many things and clips and tweets that he will send from things that you send him into the Game Changer chat. For example, like this is just off the top one. The reason why Taves and Marchessault in the Christmas event went from an 89 to a 90. It sounds like it's nothing, but it was all because of him. He did not like the fact that, along with this community, did not like the fact that it was so low considering we're in December, and they bumped him up. Even by 1, that's still an improvement, but it's a tangible change you can see just because, he cares a ton about the game mode and wants to see it do better. That's something that it's great to see because there are a few that don't really say much, and he is one of the better, especially for Hockey Ultimate Team. He will take almost every single one of your clips or opinions that carry, should be discussed, and we'll put it in the Game Changer chat. Every single one, guys. Next would be when it comes to the actual gameplay side of it, Leafy. I did not know Leafy prior to NHL 19. She's a great streamer, and she is one of the most passionate about improving the game. Full marks to her. She will send clips and things that should be addressed, and she's very vocal when it comes to improving gameplay. There are many others. Nuge is one. Like they're the main people, but Leafy's one that surprised me. She is very adamant about improving the game, and that's good to see. Another one would be Johnny, or the Owe. You might know him on Twitter and whatnot. He, again, cares a ton about NHL and he does great work with the esports side of things, wanting to see it grow genuinely, and has done a great job with it. B Bunny, my boy Jordan, he is another one. When there is an issue that he sees in the Sixes community, he is not afraid to voice his opinion and see if he can't get things changed. He isn't a big content creator, but again, just from knowing him personally from Sixes and whatnot, he does a lot of work behind the scenes and wants to see, again, generally see the game do well. And he's another one that it is good to see cares a ton. For offline, it's Tugi and Tactics. Those guys put in so much work to improve the offline side of franchise mode. Like, so in depth to make the game as realistic as possible, because it is a GM mode. You want accurate things, whether it be a player's height in the CHL or things like that, or why players aren't getting the correct contracts out of the first year of simming the game. They want to make the game as perfect as possible, and they are great at their craft. Full marks to them. Again, there are tons of other game changers that do a ton of work. Those are just the ones off the top of my head for those modes, and I think they deserve some credit. Also, let's talk about the good things in esports. The fact that there's an actual esports scene and regular events is awesome. Before, it was just random LAN events or things that, Bones on Demand and World Gaming threw together, and they have done an amazing job. Don't get me wrong. And good for them, because now they're involved with teams. So the Leafs event for one, and I believe the Jets as well. World Gaming and Bones is going to head that, and I think that puts esports and NHL in great hands to develop good tournaments that have already been tested, whether it be the best of 3 format and things like that. They're doing great work, and it's awesome to see the game being taken so seriously, competitively, having to be able to now, in the position I'm in, to see what happens with the competitive side. I love it, and it's only going to make the game better. Also, HUT in general is good, aside from the glitch and IP booting, obviously, but if we're talking about a content side of things, HUT is fantastic so far. Year over year. I mean, it's still got a ways to go, but I'm going to get into what I want to see in the future, but it is much better than it has been, and I'm excited to see what they do in 2020, because, again, they take a ton of our opinions, like the community in general. When I say our opinions, I don't just mean the game changers, because the game changers, half of us get all of our opinions and things that we want from our communities, so it's good to see that they're taking a lot of our problems and things that we want to see in the game and addressing it. For example, being able to search handedness. That's a fantastic ad. Everyone complained about captains and whatnot, and they brought that back into the game. Not that it's a big thing, but I'm glad that it's back. So let's discuss the state of esports and things that have gone on so far. So if you guys haven't paid attention, the Leafs held a pretty lengthy one that would probably be the big starter for NHL 19. They started with an online bracket, and then in October, and then in a few weeks of that, the top players from that bracket on Xbox and PlayStation got to go to Real Sports and play at their event, their little get-together event. I got to attend that. It was fantastic. I want to say the production of it was top-notch. The food, the drinks, the environment, the crowd. It was very, very good. The thing that was a giant letdown was the actual way they handled the games. It was a kind of a jumbled mess. You could tell that it wasn't an NHL experienced player or team that put together the events, and I think that it will be much better for the future going forward. But aside from that, the day was great. I got to meet a ton of guys in the community, which was fantastic for me. TDI and Johnny and Bones, among with all the competitors, JR Pens, Gren, all the guys. So it was fantastic, and it was a really cool event to go and see them compete live. Currently, the finals for Xbox and PlayStation is going to be played on this Thursday coming up at the Leafs game. I get to go and attend that as well. It'll be Gren versus Padre. Gren, everyone knows Gren. He was, the life of the NHL Gaming World Championships, and he's one of the best players in the world. He's going to take on Padre, who has done an absolute masterful job so far, especially just in the Leafs event alone. He has cleaned house, and he's going to be in the finals. If you guys don't know who he is, go check him out. But Daddy Padre is, it's showing that one of the older guys in the community is still dominating, so it's good to see. I want to talk about Canadians. I'm not going to lie. I didn't know Canadians prior to the Leafs event. I met him there. He's an awesome kid, and he is just destroying so far. I don't want to say he's come out of nowhere, but he made a great run at the Leafs event, and he's just making a name for himself in NHL 19, and it's exciting to see where he goes, in the future as far as, professionally, what happens with this game. The upcoming events, we got the Caps and Lightning, as well as the Jets. The Ducks are doing a minor one for their area, but the Caps, the Lightning, and the Jets are all having tournaments based like the Leafs one. It's not nearly as long. It's just a few weekend qualifiers. If you guys haven't checked that out, I do have an Esports News video, or go check out TDI on Twitter. He's got all of the news, even the Oway, or Johnny. So those are exciting, not so much just for the event themselves, but what it means going forward. They're $10,000 each. Now, if there's more teams that do it, the fact that they also include travel, so it means the best in the world get to play, for North America, really. But the best in North America get to play the Leafs event. It was kind of segregated for just Southern Ontario and around the New York area. So it did leave out a ton of elite players, but the Caps, the Lightning, and Jets event travel's paid for. So you are going to see the best compete for these events, and it's not for a small chunk of change. So it's going to be extremely exciting, and I'm super stoked to see how that goes. My thoughts and predictions on who's going to win some of these events. Gren is going to be involved near the top of them all. So is Padre. I mean, I didn't really know Padre all that well, and I hadn't really seen his gameplay. He plays fantastic. It's good to see. I think that Josh Fearless, you're going to see him do really well at one of these events. He almost qualified for the finals of the Leafs event, but I have a feeling that he's going to make a strong charge. Same with J.R. Pence. He loves getting better at NHL, as well as Queso. There's a lot of guys that I think that are going to do well. But I honestly think that Grind is going to be involved near the top of every single one, just in the format that these tournaments are taking. The fact that it isn't single elim, like the Gaming World Championships, just kind of makes it so that the best are represented near the top, because anyone can lose one game, but losing 2 out of 3 against some of these guys is extremely difficult. It's just, you're going to see the best players play. As far as sixes goes, I would love to see competitive sixes in esports be a thing. I think that the grand scale of it is extremely large, though. Everyone wants to see esports take off kind of like the 2K series in NBA. I just don't think that that's a realistic thing in the near future. I think that esports is brand new for NHL, and I think that it's the best for teams to test it like this. When they do sixes, it needs to be organized. It needs to be. It can't be, let's try this and see if it works. The fact that there's going to be, first of all, 6 people involved per team, it's just, it needs to be done well, and I want to make sure that the game is in a good state for it. Like I mentioned up above, on the Sony side, the errors and everything like that, it's just not good currently, and I want to see it fixed, and I think it will be, and I think at NHL 20 you're going to get your first taste of it. To me, on my honest opinion, I think you're going to see EA Sports Hockey League become a competitive thing in the esports side in 2020. Lastly today, I want to talk about Hockey Ultimate Team. This was my first year of kind of going all in on Hockey Ultimate Team. I want to say the things that they've done well as far as the game mode goes. First of all, the market hasn't crashed. I played quite a bit in 18, not nearly as much as in 19, but in 18, the Evos and the Ice cards and things like that absolutely destroyed the market, and it's good to see that they learned from it and were so careful to not dick with it again. The fact that there's a +2 cap on all the upgrades means that there isn't 15 Jonathan Taves or 99s in December. I think that that's been a great change. So far, there's going to be 1 or 2 95s in January, but when you think in the grand scheme of things, last year it was brutal. They've been super careful with it, and I'm glad to see. The monthly legends, the fact that we get a free card that will almost for certain be on everyone's team at least for a little while. That's been fantastic just for logging in and playing the game. It is excessive. You do have to log in and play quite a bit, but you get rewarded with a great card. Now everyone complains that, oh my god, it's just centers, but guys, they do that on purpose because a center is infinitely more helpful than a left winger who can only play one position, maybe two, considering they can play on either side of defense. But a center can play every single position but goalie, and that's why they do it. It's about being able to conveniently place the great card that you do get anywhere in your lineup, and I have no complaints with it always being in center, to be honest with you. The events so far have been great. The Halloween event, including the Bufflin and the Thanksgiving one for Kane, and this new Christmas event, they've been great for the most part. There's been multiple comp seasons. The card art has been amazing. I know that they brought in a lot of graphic designer, game changers, and things like that, and the card art has just been awesome this year compared to past years. I wish they would kind of go to an all-action shot. I think that might be a little bit too much work when you think of the amount of players in the NHL and all the past guys that they have. But all of the card art so far has been great, including the events. It's fresh. It's nice and fresh to see that that's being taken into account when they do release an event. It's not just kind of useless where you're not getting anyone. Every single Master Set player has been someone of use for quite some time. Things I want to see in NHL 2020 when it comes to HUT real quick. I want to see them limit the useless parts of Hockey Ultimate Team. And for the most part, that's draft champions. I don't necessarily want to see it removed. I want to see it have a use. Currently, there is no use for it. You're not going to get any reward that's worth playing it. And other than the people that want to play offline, there's no point in it. And if I do have a say or anything like that, that'll be one of the things that I mention and kind of want to see improved in 2020. Just give it a reward that's worth playing. Moving into a moments challenge instead of what we have now. So the offline HUT challenges, they were a great addition to the game, much like how Madden Ultimate Team has it, but they are lame in the fact that it's the same thing over and over again. You have 2-minute periods, score a breakaway, which you can't do, get a penalty. The AI didn't take any penalties, score 2 power play goals, things like that. It's just kind of lame and redundant, and over again it gets real boring, and there is a ton of them, and it's a great way to make coins, but it's way too much of the same thing, and it's not fun playing. I would love to see them go back to a moments kind of style thing. And I don't remember what year at NHL was, but there was moments where it was like you're down by 3 with 7 minutes to go. You're the Calgary Flames on this night. Johnny Gaudreau scored a hat trick. Come back. You know what I mean? Like, those would be the kinds of things I would love to see. Now, the amount of work that takes, again, you have to understand that from a business side, there has to be people that, improve the game on the tech side and make sure the game's in a good state. And someone developing those moment challenges, it's not just an easy peasy thing, but that would be something that would make it fresh and amazing, in my opinion. Lastly would be dynamic ratings. It's not going to happen in 2020. I'd be stunned. But if you guys play MLB The Show, they have Diamond Dynasty has dynamic ratings where if a player is doing well in real life, his card improves. And the one thing about Hockey Ultimate Team is that base cards don't really have any use still, and it happens very early. Like I said, I have one of the best HUT teams on PlayStation, and I was out of using base cards by the end of October, I think. I would love to see them hold their value a little bit, and it would be cool to see them have a dynamic rating that kind of goes up and down depending on how they're doing in real life. It would also add a lot more excitement to watching NHL games. It's like online fantasy, and it would be cool for the market as well. So guys, that takes care of episode 1 of Short Side Wristers. I'm No Sleeves 12, and again, guys, I would love your feedback. Anything, if you liked it, too long, too short, the topics, who you want to see me interview or, have on the show. It's going to be a daily thing. You're going to see it Monday through Friday, guys. So, again, let me know your comments in either my YouTube video of it or just message me on Twitter, and you guys have a good one.